In this video, I want to talk about the path that I took to get to my first $100,000. And then more importantly, towards the end, I want to talk about what I would do differently from then to now. And I think the way that I would have done it would get me there a lot faster. So for additional context, my name is Chris. I've been an accountant for 10 years. My wife and I paid off $43,000 worth of debt in about a year, and now we have a $1 million net worth. But that didn't just happen overnight. This was years and years of planning and making mistakes and taking action. But by all accounts, the first $100,000 is always the hardest. And because of that, I kind of wanted to share this video to help those of you who may not have gotten to that point yet. One of the most famous investors of all time, Charlie Munger, who recently passed this year in 2024, he has a quote around reaching the first $100,000. And he says, I'm paraphrasing possibly, but he says the first $100,000 is a bitch, meaning it's just like so hard because you're building from zero to try and get to whatever the goal is. So you're building from zero, you're clawing, you're scrapping, you're probably pretty young and you just don't understand everything. And that's kind of what ended up happening with me. Sure, I've been an accountant for 10 years now, but I wasn't always as good with my money as I am now. I wasn't always as intentional with creating financial goals as I am now. So after college, I had an accounting degree and I didn't really get my first corporate job until I was maybe 22, 23. It took some time. Part of that was like, honestly, imposter syndrome. I was like, sure, I got grades at school, but like, how is that gonna relate to the real world? I was kind of nervous, so I took a job that was a related skill, a comparable skill to accounting and finance and all that stuff. Quite honestly, that was probably my first mistake. But when I got this corporate job, everyone that I knew talked about 401ks, so I obviously signed up to take part of that. The company that I worked for matched any 401k contribution that I had, so I believe that company specifically was 2 or 2.5%, which isn't really that amazing. But I took that, and for all you out there that have an option for 401k and your employer matches it, at the bare minimum, you should be investing into your 401k if your employer provides a match. So if they provide a match at 2.5% of your contribution, then you need to be providing 2.5% because it's essentially free money. And in my opinion, it's just a really good, simple strategy. It's sort of set it and forget it. It comes out before, your paycheck, so you might not feel it necessarily, and it's not like you pay it afterwards. It's just comes out of your paycheck. Anyway, so at this job, I did the employer match, and then I set it up to be increase 1% per year, and I thought, I was like, oh wow, like I'm gonna be crushing this, I'm gonna be like rich, I'm gonna look in a few months, a few years, and it's gonna just grow to balloon to be this huge, massive thing. But this was way before I knew anything about really personal finance, to be honest, or investing, and that's just not the case. It is a struggle to get an investing account going, even if you're putting in a little bit every other week for your paycheck. So I kept doing the 401k thing. I was doing the 1% increase every year, feeling good about it. Switched companies 1 or 2 times after that. Same thing applied. I obviously enrolled in their 401k. I rolled over the old 401k into the new plan to keep it going. And then I started investing in individual company stocks, which for anyone who is either just starting investing or new to investing or researching investing, I would highly recommend that you do not do what I did. Not because I lost a lot of money. I invested way too cautiously, actually, which is probably a good thing now that I'm thinking about it. But investing in individual company stocks is just kind of stupid if you're a beginner. Honestly, the first little bit you need to be more diversified and just have it be a little safer, in my opinion. And I'm going to kind of talk about that in the second part of the video about what I would have changed, but just an FYI. But at that point, yeah, I really started to get into personal finance, investing, saving money, trying to get to financial goals, etc. And that's when I really sort of started saving some money. Before this, I really had no idea what I was doing with my finances, and I didn't even know how much was in my bank account at any given time for a certain period of time, which is pretty embarrassing for someone who was, went to school for accounting and was starting like an accounting career. Pretty embarrassing that I wouldn't even know how much money I had in my checking account, right? Very embarrassing. So that's where I was at. I would just kind of spend recklessly, do whatever other people were doing in my friend group. I always just wanted to be like doing things. I wanted to make sure my weekend was filled. I wanted to make sure that like one night a week I did a thing with a friend or whatever it was. I spent a lot of time hanging out with friends, which I guess is what you do in your 20s, right? And you're trying to be really social. But at this point, I took a turn. I started saving money. I started being more intentional with my finances. And in 2017, my wife and I bought our first house. So in 2017, between the home value that we had already, our investments, our cash, like me personally, I had $100,000 in assets, not including like what my wife brought to the table. So that's about 7 years ago for making this video. So that puts me at 28 years old. I hit my first 100,000, and I don't want you to necessarily compare or try to put your own time frame on it, but I could have done things way differently, way better if I was just more intentional. If I knew what I knew today and I applied it even 10 years ago, but especially like 15 years ago when I was 20 years old, if I applied these when I was 20 years old, my wife and I's net worth would be even greater than it is today. I'm 100% convinced by that. Because the one skill that I never really understood until even recently, maybe just a few years ago, is delaying instant gratification is probably the most important skill if you're trying to build wealth. Now, let me sort of dive into that a little bit. So instant gratification, meaning like you're always looking for a quick win, a quick hit. It's like if you took an automated test online, you put the test in and then it instantly gave you a grade. Like that's like instant gratification, right? On what you studied or whatever. So when I was 20 years old, if I had started budgeting my finances, because that is always the first thing that you do in your personal finances, no matter what the goal is, whether you're trying to save, whether you're trying to pay debt, whether you're trying to retire, whatever the thing is, like you need to have a starting point. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts around this. People are always trying to get out of budgeting. I don't know why, because I talk to a lot of people every single day about their personal finances, and it just seems like budgeting to them is a chore, and people have these negative connotations about budgeting, and that just kind of frustrates me, because I think instead of looking at it as like, oh, this budgeting thing is very restrictive to me and my lifestyle, you need to think about budgeting as being more intentional with your finances and where your money goes. So it has nothing to do with restricting anything. It's about putting money to the most important things in your life and allocating it to the most important things, like your family, for example, and having a roof over your head. And then going down the list from there, you know, maybe your health is important, so you're exercising and you go to a gym and that's really important to you, and you're not giving that up, right? So it has nothing to do with like cutting expenses necessarily. It's just how you spend your money. So I just want to make that message very clear. So yeah, back to instant gratification. Obviously, again, in your 20s, like most people, just you want to be social. You want to, like, again, fill your weekends with fun and exciting things, and like go to a bar and have a drink, or go to a place and do a thing. But like instead of spending like $100 a weekend at a bar or something like that, I could have like just stayed home. I'm not saying the whole time, I'm not saying cut all the friends out of my life, but like not do as many things, stay home, A, save some money that I can put towards a financial goal, but B, like really try to learn a new skill and really try to provide more value to myself to get better skills, and then provide more value to the marketplace and be more valuable to the marketplace. Because I think what happens, like when we go to school and you go like college, for example, a lot of people, and I was guilty of this too, and I'm just really kind of frustrated thinking back, like you think you're done with school and you think you're done learning, and you're just not. You're never done learning. You should never be done learning. If you're done learning, then like you've completely given up. And then I think when we go back to the part where I was investing in individual stocks, I was bad at it, by the way, so I definitely don't give out stock advice. This is another way of like instant gratification almost, where you're looking at this like one stock, and instead you should be investing in index funds, like broad market funds that have many, many, many individual stocks in them. That way it covers your ass if you are bad at picking stocks, like 95% of people are. I think there's actually a study done recently where, 90 something percent of people who pick stocks lose against just the average stock market. So like the S&P 500, which is like one of the standard just investing tools of the market, is like the entire US market, right? The top 500 US companies. If you just invest in that and just put your money in it and then just wait, it's gonna grow. Like, it's just gonna grow, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to like think. It's just the market always is going to win on a long enough time horizon, and that's it. There's nothing else to really know about that. So instead of like trying to get these quick hits and trying to like learn how to trade options or jump on like the new like shit crypto coin or something like that and try to get a quick thing while no one really knows about it, and you're buying it at 2 cents and you hope to get to $100 in a day, whatever the stupid things are, like just think about what your financial goals are. And if there's a long time horizon on them, then stop trying to get rich quick and put your money into like a broader market index fund, please. Because if I had started doing that when I was 20 years old, again, not that we really need money or anything like that, but our net worth would just be so much higher, and like our retirement would be made a lot easier. Let's put it this way. So my wife and I, we have 2 kids, and we have invested into their education future through a 529 education savings plan. And basically what this is, you put money into it and you could take it out for education purposes tax-free. So it's essentially a growing vessel of money for your kids, and then you take it out, and as long as it's used for educational purposes, like you don't get taxed on it, which is great. So we have a 3-year-old and a almost 4-month-old. So we just started the 4-month-old account, but our 3-year-old's account, it's got like $12,000 in it already. And if I'm doing the math correctly, I did it before I shot this video, when he turns 18, he's gonna have $50,000 in that account. And that should be just because of compounding interest. And honestly, we're only investing $50 a month into it, plus any like random birthday money or things like that. Like, it doesn't take a lot, but you need time to have that stuff develop. You need time. I just wanted to really relay this message to you. Hopefully you're someone that could get value from this if you have not reached $100,000 yet in assets. Obviously you can't change how old you are. You can't start 10 years ago, so I totally understand that. I wish I had started when I was 20. I'm 35 now. So start as soon as you can, even if it's a little bit, even if it's a couple $100 a month or $50 a month, whatever you can do, just start it. I urge you to go on Google and search for compounding interest calculator, pick any one you want, and I want you to fill that out and see the power of compounding interest. So play around with it and do like an initial investment of $0, and then every month just write $50 in first. For the rate of return, I want you to do a moderate return of like 8%, and then play around with the years. Put in 5 years, and then 10 years, and then 20 years, and see the differences, and then change the $50 to $200, and then see how much more powerful that is, and then change the 200 to 500, then 1,000. Keep playing around with this, and you can actually see how powerful compounding is. And it's not just investing, it's everything in life. And that's why, again, I wish skills was something that I really took more seriously back in my 20s. I went through high school, I went through college, and I was like, okay, I'll learn some new things in my job. But to me, I was like, I'm done with school, I'm done learning. And that's just the dumbest attitude to have, and I'm so kind of angry at myself. But I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. So I hope that me expressing this to you kicks you in your butt to be like, you know what? I always wanted to pick up coding, or I always wanted to learn how to sell something, or whatever the hell the thing is. Just do something, learn a new skill, and learn a new skill frequently. Getting good at new things gives the market more value, which makes you more valuable, which then in turn gives you a higher income, and then you can put more of that money towards a financial goal. Like, it's just reverse engineering backwards is such an easy way to do all of this. So guys, I'm uploading daily onto YouTube about personal finance, mindset, strategy, implementation. So if you liked this video, there's going to be plenty of other videos that you can check out on the channel. Make sure you smash the like button, do all that fancy stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.